Alright guys, what's going on to the next episode of our F123 career mode. This weekend we're going to be in the Hungarian GP, the Hungaroring. But before we get to the weekend, we're going to go ahead and showcase our Williams livery. It's going to be the Silverstone 800 race livery. This livery didn't come out on RaceDepartment until after I recorded the Silverstone race, so I wasn't able to go back and re-record the race with that livery. But it's only one race late, and we're going to be rocking that for the rest of the season. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this. But first, we're going to go ahead and go over to our messages, and the most recent message is stating that Daniel Ricciardo signed to AlphaTauri, replacing Nick de Vries. So yeah, we're just hoping that it actually works through properly, because I know there was an update. I don't know if they automatically updated it or they set it to transfer him during the Hungaroring. So we'll see if it works through practice and qualifying. But yeah, we are running pretty well. Like, it says that we have Daniel Ricciardo transferring, but Nick de Vries is grayed out. But we'll have to wait and see. And doing pretty good so far this season, as we're currently sitting in P9 for the driver standings. And then I believe, yeah, P6 in the constructor standings, so 2 points ahead of Haas. So we got a long ways to go, as we're about pretty much halfway through the season. So yeah, renewed our rivalry with Pierre Gasly, so feeling pretty good about that. So let's get right into practice, and then we'll see you guys for qualifying.
Two minutes remaining in the session. We need a good lap here, or we're out of...
Qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves once again of our top three: Norris, Johnson and Lewis Hamilton. With qualifying wrapped up now, we have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
Alright, so through Q2 and Q1, I wasn't feeling really comfortable. Q1, we had a similar time to our teammate of Logan Sargent. He actually made it into Q2, if you noticed, through the clips from Q2. But he got knocked out of Q2, and we made it into Q3. And that first run, I thought about going on a scrub set of soft tires, but I didn't. I decided not to. I went on a fresh set of soft tires, and then on my final run, I went on a new set of soft tires as well. And I know the gap was only a few I know the gap wasn't that much, but the progress that I was seeing on the lap time for our final run I didn't realize it was that close to pole position because we were placed in like P6, P7 where Pierre Gasly, our rival, was. But I'm feeling really confident after this race. This race is qualifying, and kind of looking forward to what we have for the main event. So let's get right to the main event.
Welcome to Budapest once again for another round of Formula One action. Historically, a good race for first-time victories, with Button, Hill, Alonso and Heikki Kovalainen all reaching the top step of the podium for the very first time right here. We're northeast of Budapest for today's race at the 2.7-mile Hungaroring circuit. 14 corners here, 8 to the right and 6 to the left, on a track where downforce is king and passing is notoriously difficult. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Johnson lines up on pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Leclerc, Sainz, Perez, Oscar Piastri, Norris, Ocon, Stroll, Sargent, Tsunoda, Russell, Bottas, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Joe, Verstappen. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. And joining me again for the race today, Natalie Pinkham. Now, can I get your take on Max Verstappen? That was a great win in the last race, but can they keep that momentum going into this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
All right, so Lando Norris getting a penalty there, an alternate strategy of 2-stop race. Default strategy, and whether we're going to go ahead and go with the mediums to hards, we're going to drop our fuel load down, and just how we like it. And yeah, so Logan Sargent starting up in B12. I think that's the best start that he's had so far this season. And just like I was saying, we have a grid of 19 drivers. Like I was saying, I was messing with the driver transfers after we came into I was messing with it before and after we came into the weekend, and I should have known better to not mess with it after we came into the weekend. So we're gonna go ahead and drive the Hungaroring with 19 drivers, and then fix our little mishap afterwards before we get to the next race. So let's get right into it.
Decent parking. Let's try and get a good launch as the lights go out. Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence will begin as soon as the grid is formed. Be ready with the clutch.
All right, so a pretty good start here, up in P1 because of a penalty. I don't remember who qualified in P1, but we get bumped up, and our 5 red lights are off here as we're off to a pretty good start against Hamilton, as he's still side by side with us. And we go out wide, the Aston Martin there of Alonso, pretty close behind as the Ferrari takes the inside lane. And pretty good launch compared to Hamilton on these medium tires, but those soft tires will end up catching us here in the future as we take these first few corners. Qualifying was a little bit rough because of those corners, and on these medium tires I did tend to miss those braking points. So trying to fight for grip here on our mediums as we're still managing to lead against Hamilton. Pretty good through these corners through Sector 2 as we're coming up to the chicane. And Hamilton does a little bit better as we get a little bit of wheel spin. He was about 5/10 back. You can see him going in and out of basically that 6/10 range as he has the rest of the pack behind him. Alonso P3, Leclerc P4 here as we round out towards the end of lap 1. And the main straight is definitely where Hamilton is able to catch up on those softs as we take the inside line a little bit early on this last left-hander. And Hamilton, about 3 tenths, 2.5 tenths, 3 tenths around this last set of corners to the main straight. He gets a better launch than we do. So you can see that interval closing fast. You can see him in the mirror on the right side as he is coming up on those softs. He brakes early, we brake late, taking the outside line, carrying as much speed as we can. As he almost comes in contact with us here, as Lewis Hamilton on lap 2 takes the lead. As going a little bit wide here on this left-hander downhill, a lot more braking than I expected. As you can still see that we're fighting for control over the car on these mediums. As we ran out the end of lap 2 pretty much in the same position here. But Alonso a lot closer than he was when we started lap 2 as we're coming around these last few corners. And just like Hamilton, Alonso is going to have a better launch. We're almost coming in contact with the barrier, splitting the main road from the pits here, as Alonso is easily able to capitalize on that mistake. And shortly after, we see Leclerc here in the mirror moving on the inside. You can see him in the mirror on the right side there. Yeah, I thought about making a move here, but we did end up covering that spot, trying to keep as close as possible to Alonso as we're now in DRS territory. But that's to no avail. Alonso was able to stay close to Hamilton as we lost a little bit of ground on them. So we're off to a pretty rough start here. Leclerc, a good launch out of that last corner as we went over the curb. And then Oscar Piastri, the other rookie, to get up here and fight for position. He's another driver on softs. As we're coming up to that breaking point, you can see that we're still fighting these mediums. The temperature is definitely not where we want it to be. As we're a little side to side, a little bit more than we wanted to against Piastri, as he does come in contact with us there on that downhill section. And we have to give way to him here on the inside corner as Perez makes the move on the outside lane. Thus we lose 2 positions here on that 4. And it's seeming like a very bad day for us so far. Good qualifying pace, but these medium tires are just not having it. As we ran out the end of lap 4, and we see Lando Norris in the other McLaren. Both McLarens up in the top 6 as he's able to pass. And Pierre Gasly, our current rival, is close behind too. You can see him in the mirrors. As we try to stay as close as we can to Norris coming through these corners. And feel a little iffy here at this point because end of lap 5 and Gasly having DRS. We're now 2.9 seconds, 3 seconds behind Lando Norris in about a lap time. And then that leaves Sargent, our teammate, in P9 behind us. And kind of expecting the same thing to happen with him as we try to fight for position here. A little bit of contact between us and Gasly. Missing our braking point just a little bit as we're coming down this hill here. And a lot of wheel spin trying to put the power down, especially in the downhill section. And I was kind of glad we were getting close to swapping over these tires. I did go for a medium to soft strategy, but that changes everything because we went in for this early safety car and they tell us to come in. So we're coming in behind Pierre Gasly, and we can see behind us our teammate Logan Sargent coming in as well. And then you can see some other drivers there as we see Verstappen, Max Verstappen in the other Red Bull staying out, along with Alonso and Hamilton, Leclerc, as this is basically a repeat of what happened while we got that safety car. Kevin Magnussen coming through on the previous lap ahead of Tsunoda, and he just basically puts too much power down. Luckily, he didn't slam into the wall there, and he backs up and basically is blocking Tsunoda. And this contact against the wall here is what pulls that safety car. It was a virtual safety car, but that contact into the wall pulled a full safety car. So a double stop for us did not really help, and we had a lot of people coming in for that first set of rounds. But moving on to lap 9 now, sitting back in P13, but you can see several drivers going into the pits. We have Valtteri Bottas, Nico Hülkenberg, Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc going into the pits, Alonso, Hamilton, Perez, Tsunoda staying out. And lap 10, we're sitting in P9 after that next set of stops, and safety car does not come in this lap. It stays out. So that means more people are going to be coming into the pits. So Alonso, Granu Zhou, are going into the pits. Sonoda in the very back of the pack, who was now in the front if he didn't go in, also going into the pits. So Alonso's the very back of the pack. We're getting put up back into P6. Logan Sargent, our teammate, back up into P11. And this is back to the race start here, as we're holding pretty strong here in P6. Doing a little bit better around those corners. But what I was not expecting was that early safety car. So we did our one stop, and we're on a set of soft tires. And you can see that it's lap 11. So lap 11 on a soft tire. We have 14 laps to go on the softs. And we only ran like 8-9 laps on the mediums. You could see how well everybody else was performing against us on those medium tires. And I was not looking forward to how these tires were going to act. As we try to make a move here on Norris on lap 12. Try to make a little bit of a dime bomb as we have our rival Pierre Gasly just ahead of us in P4. Moving on to the end of lap 12, Lando Norris having DRS now at this time. No, he just has the momentum. We don't have DRS because of that safety car. He makes the move on the inside line. And we're side by side. We're trying to fight for position. He backs out of that first corner, giving us the position, and he's basically going to come back at us later on, jockey for that position. But we're still trying to catch up to our rival, Pierre Gasly, as these soft tires are feeling okay, but we do hit a little bit of that curb. And that gap finally closes here on lap 15. Lando Norris closing that gap easily. He was 0.5 behind us. Now he's 0.01 passing us. And Lance Stroll is close behind, as we're a little bit of contact between us and Norris. As we're lap 16 now. These tires are feeling okay. We're coming up to sector 2 with an early yellow flag, and it is Perez, 2 positions ahead of us, retiring the car for an engine failure. So Sergio Perez is out. We're back up in a P5. Lance Stroll close behind, as we're cutting that corner a little bit too much that we would want. Lap 17, Norris about 4.3 seconds ahead. We come out of the corner really bad, and Stroll capitalizes on that. He takes it ahead of us. You see the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz and the Mercedes of George Russell. We try to squeeze in there, try to hold that inside line before Russell can get in there and have us lose 2 positions. So we're still currently P5 after a pretty risky move there in turn 1 on the inside lane. Almost coming in contact with Lance Stroll here. As lap 18 into 25 now. And coming up to a yellow flag. I don't remember what it was for, but there was contact between me and Russell. I was trying to move over for the racing line, and he was coming up on me. And a lot of contact. I had a little bit of wheel spin there, went off the curb, came back on the track. A little bit more contact between us. As we're coming through the chicane side by side, it's nothing I can really help at this point. As we come in contact with him some more. And he's not going to be the only one we come in contact with. As if you remember, I believe we did have contact with Lando Norris. George Russell finally on lap 19 making that position. We come up on him a little bit. Lance Stroll trying to make a move on us, but not quite yet. As lap 19, these soft tires are really starting to feel it. Trying to hit our braking zone. Coming in contact with Russell again. A little bit of wheel spin there coming down the hill. And I just basically looked at our intervals, and I could see Stroll getting closer and closer. A little bit of contact from Stroll there. Same position, or same area that we got contact from Russell the last lap, if not beforehand. But after that, we're basically trying to fight to defend position against Lance Stroll. As lap 24, he tries to make an attempt on us coming through this last corner. He's 6 tenths now, 3 tenths, 4 tenths. And you can see how much more pace these guys have on those medium tires compared to me on these old set of softs. Because running 13, 14 laps on a soft set of tires, especially on this track, did not really help. We were going back and forth here basically on the last lap between myself and Lance Stroll. And we're rounding out these last few corners. You could see the wheel spin there on the soft tires. As we hit this double left-hander pretty well. I'm going a little bit wider than I wanted to. We managed to get ahead of Lance Stroll, but we ended up losing grip enough to be late on our braking zone. We're side by side of the last corner. A little bit of contact. Lance Stroll just barely beats us out.
Race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
There'll be smiles at the factory after that one. A great race and a real team performance to take victory here in Hungary. So, Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
Well, they are very much at one with the car, which is a cliche, but it's true. It's not an easy process, and that work is very much paying off.
Well, Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again. George Russell takes the lead in the Drivers' Championship after today's superb result. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. So then, Natalie Pinkham, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Well, for me, it's got to be Lewis Hamilton. The multiple world champion may be the obvious choice at this point, but he's certainly a driver deserving of his great reputation.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
All right, so a kind of surprising race end here as we fought Lance Stroll to the line, and he ends up passing us just by a few hundredths of a second. But feeling okay after this race. Strategy wasn't, guessing it wasn't the best, as we went to the soft tires in thoughts of going to the hard tires afterwards, and we basically toughed it out on those soft tires, and it really hurt us, especially there at the end against Lance Stroll. We would have sat in P6 for those 8 points. Logan Sargent was within the top 10 there for a little bit, but he dropped back down to P13 and only lost 1 position. And then I don't know what's going on with the driver of the day. Gave it to they gave it to Max Verstappen, but it said Lewis Hamilton, so I don't know about that. But yeah, so dropped down to P7, and we're still sitting pretty strong ahead of Haas in these standings. So we're gonna go ahead and round out the end of the video here, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.